Hey there, Katie Joy, the Global Butterfly. One of the things that I wanted to ask you is, do you want to know how to set your goals to make them a reality for you? Maybe you have no idea yet what your goals are, or even how to begin, or maybe you know what you want, but you haven't got any kind of plan to move forward into momentum. This episode, which is Set Your Goals to Manifest Them the S.M.A.R.T.Y way, is for you. So, stick around. Hey there, Katie Joy, the Global Butterfly, your conscious creator, fellow manifesting mentor, and super excited to help you create your best year yet. Welcome back to this next episode, which is actually part 2 of a mini series that I'm creating to help you create your best year yet, setting your intentions to clarify your goals so that you can just get them uber clear and into momentum straight away. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you though, do you want to know how to set your goals to make them a reality for you? Maybe you have no idea yet what your goals are, or even how to begin, or maybe you know what you want, but you haven't got any kind of plan to move forward into momentum. This episode, which is Set Your Goals to Manifest Them the S.M.A.R.T.Y way, is for you. So if you haven't got your free workbook yet, make sure that you go ahead and you grab this experience here. It's a free workbook that I've got available for you. And the reason why I'm giving it away this year, every year I do free challenges, a couple of events that I offer to the community for free. And this year I'm choosing to do a workbook and a series that's far more public here on YouTube. Why? Couple of key reasons. One, I want to grow my audience through YouTube and my podcast. And two, I am most importantly celebrating the growth and expansion of my own online coaching business, as well as the results, incredible results. I've helped hundreds and now hundreds, if not thousands of people around the world to manifest their dream goals into reality too. And so I actually have created a lot more time and space to be on this front end a lot more. And so I'm offering this to you to help you get started, help you get in momentum. And, you know, some of you, if you want some help and mentoring moving forward, you'll probably reach out with me. But my goal is to build a relationship with you first, here and now, and so that you can actually get some real results, build some love, and help me build this community. So make sure you hit subscribe and like and comment down below. Now, again, if you haven't seen my previous episode, which is how to create your best year yet and 7 powerful questions to ask yourself, make sure that you either go and watch that first, put this on pause, or go and watch it after this. But you definitely want to get your own copy, free copy of this amazing workbook. It's a 33-page workbook that's going to take you through step by step using my 7-question powerful framework to help you get uber clear, crystal clear on your goals. And this next step is actually covering in this episode here. In the previous episode, I covered parts 1 and 2 of the workbook. In this episode, I'm going to cover parts 3 and 4. So really going to take you through this process of, it's an interactive experience using this tool to help you light up your heart and get inspired and move you into action so that you can feel excited and really on point for creating your best year yet. So are you ready? Yes. So look, what I'm going to cover first in this, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to cover in this episode just quickly. So you've got a bit of an idea of this interactive journey ahead. Again, grab a copy of your workbook so you can follow along with us. And save this to your playlist. Make sure that you are coming back to it. If you're coming back to the podcast on Spotify or on my website, or maybe you want to come back here on YouTube and create your own playlist with this as well. Make sure you hit the watch again, the watch list, or create your playlist, and definitely hit subscribe and like. So I'm going to cover today how to set goals in a way that gets you fast and delightful results. And then I'm going to cover why setting goals is so important and the research behind it. I'm going to share with you the 8 categories that I focus on to set important goals. and I'm going to share an important factor that you must know about goal setting that most people miss, and how to get the fuel for inspiration to set and realize your goals and get you clear on what's your big juicy goal and how to get clarity with that. Yes. And the power of why. Then I'm going to take you through the step-by-step process with the S.M.A.R.T.Y way to set your goals. And then, let you know who you should declare your goal to and why you should be discerning. And then the secret to move into momentum, from shifting from stuck to unstoppable. And I'm going to wrap it up with the 4-step process that I use to get in and stay in alignment with setting and achieving goals. So, are you ready? Yes! Give me some love with hitting the like and the subscribe, and we're going to go into the next step. So, how to set goals that get you on fire and set you up with delightful results, that get you real results. Well, the first step is to make sure, and if you haven't watched it yet, go and watch my 7 powerful questions, how to create your best year yet. But I'm going to give you the highlight of those 7 steps. So the first part is reflect, review, renew. So you want to reflect on what you're grateful for, getting yourself into an abundance vibration. You've got to look at what the gains you have made and who you appreciate. One of the biggest problems most people, come up with, or the biggest challenges, is that most people are focusing on what they don't have in the gap, and they're not celebrating the wins. They're kicking themselves for not being closer to the goal where they want to be yet, and they're not necessarily showing a lot of appreciation. In fact, it's just a lack mindset, and this could be conscious or subconscious. So it's a really important practice to be able to go through and highlight everything that you have been putting your attention on, because where your attention goes, your energy flows. The more grateful you are, the more you focus on the gains that you've already made, the more that you show the appreciation for who and what, including yourself, the more that your energy expands. And now you shift into a frequency of abundance, and coming from that instead of lack. Now from abundance, you have this contentment, but curiosity to expand into even more. So that's the reflection part. The review is looking at what are the challenges that you've had and experienced in the past 12 months as well. Because if you haven't, really taken the learnings from it and reflected on where you're challenged and where you actually want to grow, it becomes a little difficult. You just start moving forward with a less conscious view. So when you reflect on those, they will give you some insights for the next part, which is renew. What are you going to choose to change? In what area of your life? And I'll cover that in a moment. So reflect, review, renew. Again, I go a really deeper dive in that in the previous episode. So I'll put the link below for you to be able to go watch that or listen to that on the podcast, and you can access that as well. Then the next 4 questions, which is in the second part, are stop, start, less, more. What are you going to stop doing? Because often it's not what we need to do next. Often there are things you're going to need to start doing. That's the second part. But first of all, what are you going to take the break off? What's the thing that you're blocking yourself with? What are you going to stop doing? Then start. What are you going to start doing that you should be doing, that you haven't been doing, that you're going to begin now? Right? And then you're going to look at less. What are you willing to do less of? So maybe that it's not a complete conflict, or maybe it is serving you in some way, but you're doing too much of it, and it's a conflict of interest in alignment to your goals. So what you want to do is look at those and to be willing to go, right, I'm willing to do less of that. Maybe you're saying I'm too busy, or I don't have enough time, but you know that you scroll on Facebook a heap, or you're on Netflix watching series and binging. Well, maybe you're like, I'm going to prioritize my goals, and I'm going to do less of Netflix and less screen time, and I'm going to do more of putting my attention on my intention of what I'm creating, and I'm going to use that time more wisely. Maybe that. So then the 4th question in that part of that stop, start, less, more is what I'm going to do more of. So maybe you're already doing it, but you need to do more of it in order to move yourself in the direction of your goals, to be inspired, to be able to have the energy to move forward. Cool? So let me ask you this. Do you write your goals down? Do you not only clarify what your goals are and get them out of your head and actually write them on paper? If you don't, you are seriously impeding yourself from your success. Let me give you the research behind it of why goals are important and the research behind it, but more importantly, why to write them down. So in a 2015 study by psychologist Gail Matthews, it showed up that when people wrote down their goals, they were 33% more successful in achieving them than those who formulated outcomes just in their heads. And what's more, the study shows that participants who wrote down their goals and action commitments were more likely to achieve their goals because of the effectiveness of accountability and commitment. But there's also this wonderful thing. I'm just going to step aside from here. It wasn't very specified in the research, but I know through conscious awareness that what you put your attention on, your energy flows where your attention goes. And when we write something down, we're actually scribing into the subconscious mind. We really make it a visible commitment. We take it from the invisible and make it visible. And it becomes available in that visibility, not just for you, but for others. And you're able to communicate it more effectively. It becomes a dominating thought in your mind about what you're doing each day. And then the behaviors that you're going to have aligned with that and the decisions you make on a daily basis. So back to the research. The research demonstrated that the participants who formulated action commitments sent their goals and commitments to a supportive friend and sent weekly progress updates to that same friend. They were more likely to realize their goals. Now, whether that's a friend or a coach or a mentor, a family member, or even, there might be some certain Facebook groups or something that you want to be able to share your goals in. That's a really important aspect. And what's more, setting goals is linked with self-confidence, motivation, and I prefer inspiration. So it's an internal inside job, and also autonomy. And what does that mean? It means that you will feel better about yourself, your life, your capabilities, be inspired, and have a real sense of more personal authority, self-governance, stepping into your personal power and consciously creating the results in your life. Isn't that cool? And you, I'm sure, want to feel better about yourself and better about your life to create your best life yet. Yes? Yes, yes. So remember to grab your copy of your free workbook, 33-page workbook, to help you go through this process, and I dive way deeper into all of this. So let me share with you also to help you get clear in your planning and crystal clear on what you want to change to reflect, review, renew. What are you going to stop, start, less, more? In the 8 key areas that I use to go through to break down those categories. And for me, it's really important that I'm looking at the career or business, that where are you putting your energy there of what you're creating and adding value to in the world. And your finance, that's another category, personal growth, health and body, family, relationships, which could include friendships or intimate relationships, social life, and then attitude and spirituality. Those are the key areas, and you can get that wheel of life that I share in a copy of your own workbook here. So that's a really important key aspect that I wanted to share. And an important factor that you must know about goal setting that most people miss, and this one's key. When you go to set a goal, most people come from this consciousness that it's outside themselves, that it's out there. The minute that we do that, we go into a sense of lack. What you need to do is, well, before I tell you what you need to do, what's happening is when you go into a sense of lack or you see it out there, what is going to come up is all the shadow aspects of yourself that haven't been maybe in your full consciousness. And so a lot of the limiting beliefs are going to pop up. Fear, doubt, worry. Oh my God, am I good enough? Oh my God, can I do that? Oh my gosh, how long? Oh my gosh, am I going to try and fail? What if I try and I do fail? And you feel disappointment again. All of these fears come up. And what's a valuable aspect is to bring that awareness of what you're creating into an internal integration process where it's from inside yourself first. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you'll be making decisions and taking action based on fear in the lack frequency. And instead, what you want to do is see it, feel it, experience it already done inside of you, so that you are connected with the identity of what you are creating, of that identity of that highest version of yourself that's already got it, and be that version of yourself already. So that helps you be in that inspired, on fire, lit up, excited experience that even though the expression of your existing reality, which by the way, is the sum of all the previous decisions and beliefs you've had in the past that's manifested now, what's going to happen is as you take on a new identity and you move forward, you are going to eventually manifest and realize the reflection back of the new reality of what you created. You'll create your best year yet. Are you ready for that? So an important factor with that, with setting your goals that most people miss, is letting go of that fear, at least diminishing it. And you'll do that by shifting your conscious awareness out of lack and into abundance so that you can take your foot off the brake, hit the accelerator, but use going forward with the discernment and momentum that's really going to set you up. Plus, remember integrating the vision of that version of yourself that's already accomplished, that's already manifested and living, being that version. When you do that, that's what's going to inspire you. It will light you up. It will have you into movement because it's an internal inspired action. And inspired means in spirit. So that will be your sense of control, which is an internal instead of outside. It doesn't matter what goes on in the world or in your family or your community or in life. You're still inspired to overcome those challenges that will show up because they will. They're there to determine, to move you into an opportunity for growth. And if you take that reframe instead of, oh, it's not meant to be, oh my gosh, just, all these things, life gets in the way. Life is going to reflect back to you the opportunities that you need or could choose to let go of, or resolve and dissolve, so that you can grow and evolve into that version of yourself that already exists, that allows you to manifest your best year yet. But it's fantastic, right? Pretty exciting stuff. So here's my next thing. What's your big juicy focus and how to get clarity with that? So really, when we move into momentum and we're really getting that development of manifesting with our internal awareness and our consciousness, it's a great thing to have focus. And so picking one key goal that's going to be the biggest lever for you to have the biggest expansion for this year. So I'll give you an example. And my big juicy goal this year is actually to focus on my physical body, my health and my well-being, my physical body. And my target is 62 kilos. To be at that space where I'm super fit, lean, healthy, fully flexible, and full of vitality again, and strong. And, having that goal, I know is going to impact my energy levels to be even more radiant, to have the focus and the clarity and my cup full, meaning I feel really good about myself and life, to be able to put the energy into the projects that we're creating my business, and to be able to deliver and on what I'm offering and to my clients, as well as to create the constant and consistent amazing content that I want to create this year so I can provide it here for you on the podcast and YouTube. And so for me, it's not, while I have business goals, my biggest purposeful goal to pull that lever, that's what I'm doing right now, is to go into the health and well-being aspect. Maybe you've got that really mastered for you in your life. Maybe it's something else. But what is your big juicy goal? Now, here's the big key. The big juicy goal, when you are emotionally and energetically connected with it, with a 10 out of 10, yeehaw, I'm so excited. That's what's going to move you forward. That's the one to pick when it lights up every cell in your body. So you're probably saying to yourself, Katie, but what do I do if it's only an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10? Okay, well, if it's an 8 or a 9 out of 10, what would it take for it to become a 9 or a 10? Right? These are the sort of questions you want to ask yourself to better, fill up the expansion of that 10 out of 10 energy to amplify it for you. And it will actually, when you ask yourself that question, what would it take for it to be a 9 or an 8 or a 9 or a 10 for you, then it's going to show up. You're going to become more aware of the limiting beliefs or the things that you believe are true or not true that are not going to serve you to be able to move forward. And then you can challenge them. You can really shift it. Don't buy into them. Why would you do that? Right? It's just going to keep you stuck. So instead, ask yourself, what would it take for it to be an 8 or a 9 or a 10, and just keep working through what those beliefs are that are popping up for you, those limiting beliefs. And then look at, just feel it in your body. It's an energy that's going to move you forward. Now, if it's only really low, if it's less than a 6 or a 7, you can ask yourself, what would it take? But it's probably not your core goal to move forward with. It's not your big juicy goal. So make sure that it is one of your big juicy goals. You'll know, because when you write that down or you think about it, it becomes your top priority. So make that happen for yourself. It is the key that is going to move you forward when you have a really big juicy focus. Right. So one of the other key things too is I'm going to be sharing with you the S.M.A.R.T.Y way to set your goals, but I'm going to work in reverse for you in the moment. Now, remember, again, grab your workbook, because it's got to take you through the questions in this, but and that's free in the link down below. So go get it, and I'll put it on here somewhere. The power of why. So the S.M.A.R.T.Y, it wraps up, think of it cocooned in the why. It is absolutely important that you have your focus on why you want it. What is the reason? What's the purpose? And digging into that real soul connection that has your heart expanded and your soul lit up, not from your head, right? You don't want to be thinking about this from your head. But the why needs to be that deeper moving force that gets you into momentum. I'll give you an example again. So my why with my health and my body goals is I have a 7-year-old son at the time of doing this recording, and he's the light of my life. And I want to have the energy to be the most optimal parent for him and spend quality time with him. I want to take him on adventures and travel, and I want to be able to spend time with him where I feel really good about myself, my connection with him. If my body isn't feeling so great and I'm burnt out or spent after doing a few activities, then, it affects your attitude, right? We all feel a little bit challenged when we feel tired and stressed. And I'm like, no, I want my energy to be able to feel the best version of myself, create the best version of my life, and help him create the best version of his. And to be able to provide the mission that I have on helping people just like you to be able to create your best life yet as well. And I'd share a lot more of my story of how I even created my online business in the previous episode. So you're welcome to go back there and check that one out. But right now, I want to focus on the way, the S.M.A.R.T.Y way to set your goals. So you want to start with the why. And again, I go through a deeper dive in this one, in this workbook, but also in the previous episode. But I am going to take you through the S.M.A.R.T.Y way to set your goals. So S.M.A.R.T.Y stands for S is specific. Is it specific? Does it have a target that you can hit? It's not vague and intangible. That's an intention, right? When it's vague and intangible. An intention is like, I want to be fitter and healthier. Okay, cool. Let's define that into a goal. What does that look, sound, and feel like for you? For me, in my case, 62 kilos. And fit, lean, healthy, strong, flexible, full of vitality. So it's not a vanity measure for me about just 62 kilos, right? My why is a very deep spiritual and emotional and energetic why, and part of my mission, not just a physical representation or reflection back to me, but then also specifically, what is that target? So I know, just like putting it into Google, here I am right now, and at the time of doing this, I'm in my 80s weight, kilos, right? Doesn't look like it up here, but it is down here in the belly, right? And that you can, when you get clear, then okay, I'm here, I know where I'm at, and I know where I'm going. And so your direction, you can tell, am I moving closer to that target goal or am I not yet? If not, I can change what I'm thinking, change what I'm doing, and change who I'm being in order to maximize my direction, my pathway, and make it the most effective way there, right? So S is for specific. M is for measurable. And this one is really important because you want to know, again, like in the case that I've got 62 kilos, you want to know how to measure that. So it's part of, is it specific and is it measurable? How are you going to track and record it, right? And in the case, for example, in choosing a weight goal or a physical goal like that, you can track and record it and you can measure it. And in my example, it's not just by the scale. In fact, that's only one of about a dozen measures that I take. So I also take photos every week, and I'm also taking my physical measurements so I can track and record, the centimeters of all the different areas of my body. And then I'm also recording my sleep as well as my energy levels. And those are on a scale of 1 to 10, right? Because it's subjective. I'm giving a little notes in my account so that I've got something to reflect on. I can see maybe what's challenged me. Did I only get 6 hours sleep? Why? And what happened? What am I going to do differently to rectify that? Am I going to make space in my day to be able to have a quick nap and meditation, go to bed earlier the next night, or release and resolve maybe some of the things that I've put on my plate that are not my highest priority, so I've got that balance. Are you with me on this? What are you going to do that is specific and measurable so that you can then have a target and then be able to track it, right? Whether it's business, are you tracking your key indicators, performance indicators, just like that in your life? In your personal aspects, your key performance indicators are important too. And if it's an area like personal growth or spiritual growth, you can do it in a subjective way with like recording it out of 10 for yourself, making that record for you. So I'll give you another example of one of my goals is to read 100 books in 1 year. And already we're 2 weeks into the January of 2024 at the point of this recording, and I've already completed 4 books. They were short and easy, great afternoon reads. But I'm also listening to an Audible book that's 16 hours in length, and I've almost completed that. So that'll be done by tomorrow. And that means 5% of my experience is already complete. 5 books already done, knocked out. And I know I'm on track for keeping that. And it helps me think about what am I going to read today, or what I'm going to listen to in an Audible book to stay on track with that goal. Remember being specific. 100 books in 1 year, that's specific. It's also measurable. How am I going to measure it? Well, I'm going to count and keep a record, a book log. So that is a way of, and because I'm writing it down, I've got that accountability and I'm moving forward, and it's exciting. There's some psychology with the wins of ticking it off. So there's that aspect, keeping it measurable. Looking at achievable, S.M.A.R.T.Y. A is the achievable. Is it achievable for you in the season that you're in your life right now? Is it achievable for you with the skills, the knowledge, the experience that you have in the time frame that you're looking for? Or do you maybe need to reach out and get some coaching, some help, some knowledge, some skills development? Do you need to maybe you have a whole bunch of responsibilities that you've already agreed to that I need to shift some stuff off my plate, but be honorable and keep your word, finish up with those things you agreed to, but then moving forward, clearing your timeline so you can put more of your priorities in so that you can have the opportunity for yourself to direct your attention, your energy, and your time into developing your dreams, bringing them to life and creating your best year yet. Is this helpful? I'm hoping that really is. Okay, so the R in S.M.A.R.T.Y is important because it needs to be relevant. Relevant to you. Are your goals, is the big juicy goal that you're setting for yourself, is it really your goal? Is it relevant to your time-space reality right now? Or is it are you hanging onto a goal that's still 10 years in the making and you keep going, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Maybe that goal needs to be let go, right? What is a relevant goal to you in this point in time? What lights you up? And is it relevant to you that it's aligned with your vision, your values, your purpose, and what you want to create for your life, not what you think other people want for you, what society wants for you? That's inauthentic displacement where you end up taking on the programming in order to be approved of and fit in. If you want to be able to have soul-aligned goals, you want to be able to make sure that the goals that you are setting are truly relevant for you. So there's the R. The next one is time-bound. When it comes to actually giving yourself an opportunity to, right, I'm going to do it by then. Again, making sure, is it specific, measurable, achievable, and relevant? Only now do you put a time on it. Sometimes I see people new clients come in and they get super excited in the Awaken Soul program, which is my foundational program to with emotional mastery, clearing the energy blocks, and really designing your life to live your dreams in your authentic alignment, soul alignment, juicy goals. And sometimes people come in with this idea of like, I'm going to create $1 million business online in 1 year. And it's a beautiful, juicy goal. But the time frame on it needs to be challenged and looked at with more closer inspection to be getting it right. Well, is this goal specific to me? Is specific? Is it measurable? Like in 4 90-day plans, goal plans, how am I going to move forward in that based on my knowledge, experience, my skill set? Or and that might not mean that you need to do, have all that knowledge, experience, or skill set, but you need to be able to have the ability to attract people who can support you in the goal to manifest it in the time frame. It might be, I believe most people with the connection to the right identity of who they're being can create $1 million business online. But not many people are going to do that inside 1 year, unless you've already done it before, or unless you've already got a team behind you to be able to really implement that. What resources do you have? Time, energy, money. What other things are going on in your life, to make sure that it's achievable for you and relevant in that time, space, reality. So, just really checking in to give yourself an opportunity, because one of the things that I've seen too is that when people set goals and they set them with just so big in such a short time frame, it's a sabotage pattern. Because it's a pattern of, I know I'm not going to really achieve it, but I'm going to use the excuse of it didn't work, so therefore I don't have to continue going for the goal. All right, it's conscious or subconscious. So making sure that you've got a time frame that truly works for you. And you could reach out to a friend or a family member or somebody who's already done what you want to create and ask them, what would it take for me to create this goal? What do I need to know and learn? What do I need? What skills do I need? What experience do I need? What mistakes do I need to be aware of and could avoid? What do I need to, what's the pathway and helping me, the blueprint for giving me the framework at least to move forward with that, right? Because I do believe that everybody has their own unique expression of what they're moving to create. And there are underlying laws, principles, and frameworks that work. So model what works. Don't try and reinvent the wheel or break the wheel that someone else has already created that works just because you want to be unique, right? You have your unique expression, but follow the framework. And then of course, there's the why, in the S.M.A.R.T.Y, which is the reason why you're doing it. So what did you just get out of all that? Are you going to now set yourself some S.M.A.R.T.Y goals? Yes. And again, make sure that you have your own copy of your 33-page workbook. It's free, no cost. Why wouldn't you get it? Of course you're going to get it. Go to the link down below and go get it so that you can go through what you're going to create. And here's the next thing. When you've got your goal and you've set it into your S.M.A.R.T.Y process, like so that you've got a clear framework of what you're doing, who should you declare your goal to? This is an important one, because quite often when we just tell anyone without being discerning, if we haven't done the inner work to the level where we really have, we've mastered the art of not giving up, right? Where we don't take on other people's projections and their beliefs and their limitations. And we can also handle anything that gets triggered, because when we decide to grow and move into something greater, have you noticed that a lot of people around you can be like crabs in a bucket and pull you down and tell you why it won't work, or maybe they distance themselves from you and you just like, oh, what's going on? And it's because quite often when you light up with what you're creating, it actually highlights to people who are not willing to make the change where they're falling short, and it doesn't feel comfortable for them. It's an inner conflict. So just be aware of that. So you want to be discerning who you tell. Tell someone who is going to support you, who is going to encourage you, and who is not going to undermine you, who is not going to poo-poo the idea for you. You want to make sure that it's a really dear friend who is on the same frequency and vibration. Maybe it's a community or a coach. Maybe it's a family member. Be selective. Not everybody has that support, right? And so you want to make sure that you are telling someone, sharing this with someone who is truly going to honor you, cheer you on, support you, and show up. Hey, how can I help you move forward with this goal? And even have you in mind so that they can connect you with people and resources as well that show up to assist you. Cool? So be discerning with that one. Right. And here's the next step. The secret to move into momentum, to shift from stuck to unstoppable. Ready? So let me answer this by first asking you a question. And I always ask this to my clients, and it's kind of weird, but you'll get it when I share this, right? I really haven't found anything else that really just sits in this place. But my question is, how do you eat an elephant, right? A big one. The answer is one bite at a time. Now, I get it. We don't want to actually eat an elephant, but the idea is that how do we confront that overwhelm that we have when we look at a big, juicy goal? It can be very overwhelming. It might look bigger than one elephant. It might look like a herd of elephants, right? All right. So I want you to focus on the one and you break it down. You take bite-sized pieces or bite-sized chunks that you are going to jump into action with. And so you want to look at your goals and break it all down, and even into what is that very first step that I can take, and making sure that those bite-sized chunks, they're in really small incremental timeframes, because most of us, right? I don't know about you, but when I first started going for my goals, I was full of responsibility. I was a paramedic, 96-hour shifts in an 8-day week cycle. Some of those I was working 26 hours straight. And straight after that, I was sleeping. So there were lots of busyness going on in my life. I was also building an online business. Not yet. I then got busier, but I knew how to prioritize. But I was already managing some properties. I was doing lots of things. I was married. And so I had lots of responsibilities and people to delegate my energy to. I was also running training to train volunteers on not just first aid, but on how to become ambulance volunteers to work with us, because that's why we worked so hard on our shifts, because I worked in a country town for the final few years of my career as a paramedic. So the only way that I got to move forward was to take these little tiny pieces, break down a big goal. One of my goals was to create a gluten-free cookbook. I wrote one of the first gluten-free cookbooks in Australia. It was like the 6th one available. And it was so good. I got on TV, I got on radio. I had the Celiac Society do the introduction. There's a big story behind all this, though, because a few years later, as I traveled around the world, I had wonderful experience to be able to meet another goal, which was to create spontaneous self-healing. And I met an incredible mentor in India who connected me with the founder of a technique that I went back to America, who helped my body realign itself and no longer reacts to that gluten intolerance or gluten reaction. And so I stopped doing the gluten-free cookbook because it wasn't can go through the process that that I'm guiding you in the workbook, so you can break down the pieces into bite-sized chunks, making sure they're 5 to 15 minute blocks of time. So you can do it when you're standing in line at the shopping center or waiting in queue somewhere. Maybe you're stopped at the lights, or you're on a longer trip and there's traffic where you can make a phone call. You can listen to something, a bit of training, a 15-minute segment of training that maybe you signed up for. You can mentally think of some ideas and draft them down. By the way, these aren't limited to just being stuck in traffic or in the car, but you can be able to send the email, write down who you're going to call, make a quick mind map, a draft of what you're going to, some ideas that are popping in your head, capture them. Those are the kind of things that you can do to get started. But then when you've got those ideas, what can you do to break them down so they're not hour segments? They're smaller pieces that you can take action and tick, 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 and move into momentum. How cool is that? So to wrap this up, remember the 4-step process that I use to get into alignment and stay in alignment with setting and achieving goals. And that's making sure that you are doing, you've got the clarity on what you're going to stop doing, what you're going to start doing, what you're going to do less of, what you're going to do more of, so that you are putting yourself in check, holding yourself accountable. Write it down, what you're going to do. Hey, and do it in your workbook. If you don't want to get the workbook, it's free. But if you don't want to get the workbook, at least journal it. But in the workbook, the 33-page guide, the workbook, let me get a copy of it here. It will... I ask you the specific questions and I take you through that process. So if this has been of huge value to you, please share it, like, subscribe if you're on YouTube and you're on Spotify or podcast. Make sure you pin it, flag it, make it your favorite playlist, come back to it, research this again and again. Grab your copy of your workbook and go through this training again and again. The workbook you can download, you can have multiple copies. Share this training with your friend, see if it resonates with them. Do it with them. Go through this process with them. Remember that discerning and supportive friend, though. Don't just blast it to anyone that isn't going to be ready to move forward. But if you've got people in your life that really want to serve, to create their best life yet too, and serve you, support you, buddy up with someone and go through this process together. So again, thank you so much. One thing I want to leave with you, if you struggle with or you're challenged with having some self-belief in going through this process, then I offer you to borrow my belief in you, because I believe you can do this. I can believe you can follow through. And I know that you will create your best year yet when you just implement, take the action, one bite at a time. And remember this, I love you. Thanks again for letting me guide you through this episode and my process on how to set your goals to manifest them the S.M.A.R.T.Y way. And may you have a blessed day. Love, light, manifesting miracles, magic, and more. And I'll see you in the next episode.